How's it, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Nuts and Bolts. Riding with Christian today. We're gonna see how far we can get to Hana. Are we gonna make it? Let's see. So there's two ways of getting to Hana by road, and we're going through the Haiku way. So this route is about 35 miles of windy road. Usually it's pretty wet here, but we picked the perfect day to go riding. As you can see, it's blue and clear. To the right side here, it's a pretty popular spot for the tourists called Twin Falls. Got a couple waterfalls and it's not too far of a hike. The second way of getting to Hana would be going through Kula. It's 42 miles starting from Keokea of a windy road, and it's usually drier there until you get to Kipahulu. I posted a video not too long ago called Views from Ulupalakua, and that's the way to get to Hana from Kula. Go and check out that video. Since we're going the Haiku route, it's 35 miles, and we're going to see how far we can go before we have to turn around and return without recharging. Out of our two bikes, Christian has a smaller of the batteries, which is a 60 volt 51 amp hour. So we're going to go by his readings to figure out when we need to turn around. As I mentioned before, it's a pretty wet area, so it's really lush and green, full of foliage. The weather here is really unpredictable. It can go from a day like this, it's sunny and hot, into a complete downpour within minutes. If you drive through this area the day after it rains, you'll probably see some pretty awesome waterfalls. You're going to see a couple different views on this video. I have the Insta360 on my bike, and on Christian he has a GoPro 7 mounted to his chin. The differences in the audio and visual quality between the two cameras is hard to see with the untrained eye, but if you ask me, I think the GoPro 7, even the older version, is better than the Insta360. But where the Insta360 shines is its ability to capture video without even having to point and shoot. It captures pretty much everything around you. And during editing, you can adjust the angle and the horizon to pretty much anywhere you want, as opposed to the GoPro where you're kind of stuck to whatever you capture. This is one of the many bridges that we come across, and is where usually you see a lot of the really awesome waterfalls. I almost got myself into big trouble right here checking out these classic cars. When I turned my head back into my lane, I was nearly over the center lane right next to this car. I'm not gonna lie, my heart skipped a beat right there. This is a dangerous 180-degree turn that goes uphill, so it's hard to see above you what's coming at you. Then it turns to a narrow one-lane road for a short distance. Here on the right side is a place called Bamboo Forest, where a lot of people like to hike, especially the tourists, so it draws a pretty big crowd here, and there's usually cars kind of lined up and down this road. For some reason, the trees really don't like this area coming up, so it really opens up and the views are quite spectacular. Unfortunately, this guy pulls out right in front of us and we kind of have to slam our brakes. The experience of riding to Hana on a bike is so much better compared to a car. When the weather's nice, the scenery is unmatched. You get fresh air from all the trees, and the temperature is it's perfect. It's always really cool. And the biggest bonus for me is you don't get car sick. When riding in a car, you tend to get stuck behind all the slow traffic. And in a bike, we just ride around it. On a side note, when you do drive to Hana, just give a little bit of courtesy and some road etiquette. If you want to drive slow, that's not a problem. Just pull over when there's traffic behind you. All the locals have driven this road hundreds of times and they just want to get from one place to the next. This is Hana State Park. It's a good place to rest and use the bathroom after a long drive. I'm gonna pull out the drone here and try to get some cool shots for you guys. So we're at about 69 feet in elevation, but right on the shoreline, so it's a pretty steep drop off here. The views are spectacular, and it continues all the way down to the shoreline of Honolulu Bay. Christian was pointing out the Knight Peninsula off in the distance. This was probably my most favorite area to ride. It was all downhill, and that combined with the shoreline views and all these trees, it was pretty cool.
go down to Honolulu Bay. That'd be a nice one for both lines.
Right here is where Christian decided to take us down to Honolulu Bay, which I'm sure glad he did. I've never been here before, but man, it was a beautiful spot.
They're all right there.
This is Honolulu Bay Beach. Pretty special place if you ask me. Even though this is my first time here, it was quite breathtaking. Pacific Ocean on the right. On the left side is fresh water that comes down from Honolulu Valley. This is where the fresh water and the salt water combine to make brackish water. I've read that this beach will fill up with sand depending on time of year, fluctuating with like the tides and currents and ocean swells. Where right now it's just full of small rocks and pebbles. Up next is the Knight Peninsula. It's going to be 3.5 miles for us, but only about 1 minute and 13 seconds for you. Enjoy the ride. We are finally down at sea level, and this is Knight, known for taro farming. There's only a handful of houses in this area, and the whole peninsula is probably maybe a half mile long. Another thing that Knight is known for is a tidal wave back in 1946 that wiped out almost the whole community. Only thing that was left was a few houses and a church that was built about 100 years prior to that. This is what's left of their boat ramp. It's pretty dilapidated. The cement and the rock, it's all torn up, and I can't see them using it anymore safely. This is their ball field. It's pretty overgrown and it doesn't seem to be used very much. This is also where we land the medevac if anybody should get hurt or get sick here. As we're leaving Knight, Christian has 69% left on his battery, so we decided to hit the halfway to Hana store, get some refreshments, and head back. Coming up on the left is a place called Ching's Pond, or Blue Sapphire Pools. It's frequently visited by the locals, known for its blue deep water and dive bombing off the bridge. You're going to see one guy standing on the bridge getting ready to jump. Well, that's going to be the end of the show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys loved the views as much as we did. We'll see you next time on Nuts and Bolts.